Okay guys, I was going to do a video on the Casio A10, the A11, along with the Compaq C120 and C140, but I had a couple things come up today, and sadly, this is my bin of stuff I'm working on, and I had an issue with some stuff, so the A10 and the Compaq C120, I can't get to that today. I need two ribbon cables, and but those are working units. They just need ribbon cables. So what I'm going to do is, this is the A11 I have working. This is the Compaq C140 I have 100% working, and I'll get down to it. So let's get into it. These were released in late 1997. The A10 along with the NEC Mobile Pro and a couple other units were the first palmtops released on Microsoft's at the time new Windows CE operating system. Both the Compaq and Casio models featured the same SH7700 SH3 32-bit processor. They're running at 40 megahertz. The A10 and C20 came with 2 megabytes RAM, while the A11 and C140 came with 4 megabytes RAM. The ROM, the 4 megabyte ROM was replaced, or the ROM was replaceable with an updated ROM that contained Windows CE 2.0, and it also upped the RAM 2 more megabytes. So if you had a A10 that's a 2 megabyte model, you put this new ROM in, you'd have a 4 megabyte model running Windows CE 2.0. What's funny is I wrote this last night before I got one of these models that's in my bin, and it was an A10, and it actually had the Windows CE 2.0 ROM on it. And what was funny is I wrote last night in my description, I'm reading off of, these chips are very hard to find these days. Well, found it, and what was funny is I sold my Velo today, and I couldn't get Windows CE 2.0 working on that because I don't have the RAM card. So it's funny, I'm going to sell that today as I'm getting the ROM I needed for my these units. So anyways, these units are about 13 and a half ounces. The screens are 480 by 240. They're a 4-bit grayscale, which I think is different than that NEC 450, because the NEC 450 is not showing the detail of what you're looking at. I think it's a 2-bit grayscale, or whatever it's not the same. On these though, I find that these keyboards, they're not the best, they're not the worst. The Casio though models, definitely you can clearly see what's written on them. The Compaqs are kind of gray, and it's very easy to hit the wrong keys if you're not in the light writing, and also the keys kind of wiggle back and forth, kind of like what the Velos did, so you're not sure if you've pressed them all the way. There is a click to them, but that requires that your fingers come up to make that click. And if you're used to kind of doing the, call it sneaky typing, where you're not trying to get the keys to click, you don't know if you're hitting the keys or not. So that's an issue. I do like the big backspace key though on these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Compaq out of the way for a second. I like the Casio overall better, and also I swear there's a difference between display. Maybe this camera will pick up on it, and maybe I can show you guys what I'm talking about. But let's see. Power on both units. Yes, this one's running Windows CE 2.0, but this issue with the screens on the Compaqs was seen even before I did this. So give me a second, guys. Let me get a stylus out and get these back to the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on the same exact background, the zigzag, and then you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about. So, sorry about this, I thought I had it set up. I had to reset this unit, so when I put in the ROM card, so I forgot about that. Okay, come on. Okay, now if we look at the icons, say you look at calendar here, this calendar I can see from a mile away. The calendar on the right may on camera seem like you can see it from a mile away, but you really can't. I was hoping the cameras would show it, but I'll put it this way, I can see this screen from about 3 feet away no problem, and the Compaq, I cannot see the screen, so maybe it isn't picking up on that. But I did want to show that there's a difference. I believe that the Compaq is running the A10 screens, even though it's a C140, where it should be like an A11. I think they're old parts going into these Compaqs, and they're a different model part numbers. So something has to be said. I know this is running Windows C 2.0, but even before I had this ROM in here, it was doing this, so it acts funny. The one thing I will say though is that other than the keyboards, I said I like that backlight, but I said the screens make a huge difference here. The C140 and the C120 models are definitely using a different part number. And I'm curious if these screens do show up more detail than the NEC does, but I'm wondering if it's hard to explain this. I was hoping the camera's going to pick up on it, but the backlights are okay. They wear out quickly. They always have. I remember at CompUSA we had a couple of these that sat in the front, and people were using them and fucking with them in the demo models, and the backlights dimmed very quickly. The Velo is different in that aspect. So, but after reviewing the NEC 450 last video, I can say that all four of these units definitely, the A11, A10, the C120, and C140 definitely beat the NEC by a mile. And not having a glass screen is a huge difference maker here too. The NEC having that glass screen, just doesn't work. And also, the NEC doesn't display, as I said, all the shades. Also, the profile, the way the screen goes back in on these, you see how there's this plastic that goes in right here? This stops there from being as bad of a shadow over the top of the screen. The NEC, literally, you would almost half this icon of my handheld PC be covered in a shadow. It just makes it hard to work with. The touch portion of these screens, though, I have to say, all these Compaq and Casio models, they have the best touch screen. It is very easy to click something, and I've clicked it. I have other units, and it might be due to age, but I do remember back when these came out, some of them were hard to press compared to these, but I mean, this is like so easy, just no problem. Very little force is needed. This is, a big bonus to me. Now, what I'll do now is, let me power these off. Power that off. Now, what I'll do is I'll show you the outside of the Casio. Now, this is a rubberish material that I'm not a huge fan of because this is easy to scratch. But this is actually in pretty good shape. The camera shows a lot more of the marks than you can actually see with the human eye. On the back, this is where you unlock and you pull back, and then the battery will come out. So now you hold this. It's spring loaded in this. Well, now it won't want to come out. What I'm trying to show you, and voila. I have the standard battery pack. I have the rechargeable one, but the batteries that were in it leaked, and it killed the ribbon cables and whatnot. Now I won't be able to get this on as I'm doing the video. But remember, though, I really don't. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to give out my secret, but anyone paying attention, the secret was shown. It has a PCMCIA slot here that takes Type 1, Type 2. There's a lock and unlock. Make sure you remember that, because this is locked. And when I unlock it, this plastic part goes in, and this is where the ROM goes. The battery. On the side is the serial connector. There's a little door that houses this, kind of like the NEC had. This is a different plug-in, though, than the NEC. You got your infrared, your Comcast control, and an LED for alarms and whatnot. And of course, you have where the stylus goes. That's about that with that. As I said, these are pretty cool units, and also these hinges are pretty easy to fix. There's two screws on the back of here. One here and one here. Take that off and gently, I mean gently, get a tiny, tiny flathead under here. Barely put any effort in, and then put something in there to keep it open, and then take a little thicker of a flathead, and that way you don't mark up these edges as you pop it open. But this thing pretty much just pops open, and you'll be able to see the hinge where you can tighten them here. And also the bottom comes out with, you take the battery out, boom, boom, there's a screw here, there's 3 screws here, take this off, and underneath here is a couple screws. And then this bottom actually pops off. Just pay attention to how this went in, and this little thing that opens up the unit. But then you'll open up the bottom, so this is the part that you'll end up pulling off. So this part comes off. Underneath you will be greeted by this. So let me move that away. So there's the inside of the unit. Now if the hinge issue I just showed you how to fix up here, when you take off the thing, doesn't fix it, then it's probably below, and it's right here. So just make sure you tighten that up. And the other screw I took out of here on purpose, but, and then so that's, and the ribbon cable plugs in underneath these 2 caps. So you pull this off, and underneath there is where the ribbon cable goes to the screen. Here's the screen out of the unit, and basically, let's see, can I get it off here? There we go. And there's the screen units. Now what I've had an issue with is the ribbon cables go into here, right where I'm pointing, and the ribbon cables, everyone's getting water somehow in the hinges. Even a couple drops of water will do this, and that either gets to right on the contrast control, or it gets right here, or the water will drip into the hinge, go down to where this ribbon cable plugs in underneath here. And the cable I had today was destroyed, absolutely destroyed. I tried cleaning it with peroxide, and then literally all I did was get it back in and get this piece like that, and it just ripped. And at that point I just went and I have a picture of it up on HPC Factor. But that's the screen I have. I know this screen's good. The other screen I have is not. But there are 2 good working units here I really want to get doing something with, but I'm out of the ribbon cables. But to show you guys what I was talking about is the ROM card. The stock ROM card looks like this. It has 1 chip on it, and it says 305, Z305 on it. Now what I'll do is, on camera here, we will do this together, and I will show you what I'm talking about. So once again, remember, you do that, you pull this little tab, you hold the one to the left, and this battery pack comes out. Yeah, it didn't look smooth, but it comes out. Now this is where the ROM is. There's a screw holding the ROM chip in. Now this is what I found out today, going through this model I got that wasn't even supposed to work. It actually powered on, but the touchscreen wouldn't work, and that's, I went through the motions and going, yeah, this setup screen looks a lot different than Windows C 1.0, and that's the ROM that was in the A10 I got. So I put that in. It requires initializing the memory, which means better back up your memory before you do the ROM upgrade, because nothing will be on there afterwards. So I put that let me see if I'm having a little trouble here, guys, looking through the camera. But come on. This one particular screw, for some reason, if it's not just right, does not want to twist in. And now it won't. Yep. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. It's very... So what I'll do is I'm going to leave that off. So then I pop back on the battery, and if you guys have been paying attention, you picked up on my trick before buying one. So I popped that in, and I went, well, let's see if it works on this. I powered it on, it went through the screen, you know, the setup, everything worked. And if you look at this, when I go to properties here, come on, you can see this is a little slow with Windows C 2.0. It was kind of slow with Windows C 1.0. There you go. 6 megabytes, Windows C 2.0. I haven't even finished setting this thing up, but there you go. This is a 4 meg unit, so there's only supposed to be 4 megabytes on it. I did try putting a 33.6 modem in it, and I dialed up to a number and I left it connected, you know, where it's connected to a BBS, and the battery went dead in like 5 minutes. I was like, what is going on? But there's a update that fixes an issue with the battery life. But even then, you want to run the AC adapter. I have the AC adapter. Give me 1 second. I have the AC adapter right here. I got this with another unit that was supposed to be broken, but it wasn't. Or the unit worked. But you do need this if you buy a new standard AC adapter, because it's a different end. It'll work. It's a 5 volt or a 5.5. And then I did get the docking station, but I'm supposed to be sending this out to somebody, so I have it set to be in the mail. So let me just peel this off. Now this has on the end of it, you have your charger plug-in, your RS232C, and then you have your AC. Now this unit, this button makes these move a little bit, I think. I don't really know what that button does, to tell you the truth, but let me turn this off. And see these? There's two little metal things here, so be careful when you're plugging this in. You're going to line those up, make sure you got it plugged in, and there it is. And that is the dock I have, and then you have this cable plugs into it. Now that's cool. There's things I like and don't like about this dock, but the thing I do like is that it's small profile. This is tiny to have this dock with you, but with all the different cables you have to plug into it, really doesn't make much more sense than just, you know, plugging into here. I don't know. To me, I really don't need this dock, but I understand why someone would want it. But because it's not a full profile dock, you know, there's nothing to sit back to catch the monitor. So I am going to complain about that the dock. But it's nice that they didn't even bother with that. They kept it simple, because a lot of companies were failing on that. So, but that's pretty much, you know, what happened. Once I fixed the update, it got much better battery life, though, out of the 33.6 modem. The outside of the case, though, as I said, when you compare it to like the HP 360, it's, you know, the 360 takes a beating and it doesn't really show it. But performance-wise, you know, these are right around the same speed to me as the NEC Mobile Pro. The NEC Mobile Pro is supposed to be faster because it's a MIPS processor, but maybe it's the screen, because it definitely seems slower than these Compaq and Casio models. And but I mean, these things are nothing compared to the speed of, say, the Velo. The Velo is even faster than the HP 360. The Velo is a very quick unit. I really like that. So overall, I would say I'd give the screen a 3.5 out of 5, the speed a 3 out of 5, the keyboard 3.5 out of 5, battery, it's about 20 hours you get out of it. So 13 with the backlight, you know, on constantly. So battery 4 out of 5. The hinge, I'd say it's a 3.5 out of 5. If you don't mind opening them up, you can tighten them and fix it. So I don't think it's as bad of a problem, but a lot of people aren't going to want to do that. Accessories, it's, you know, 3 out of 5. I just think there's some excess accessories here, and you can definitely tell this is one of the first units that came out by that. But you know, if you're not after a lot of speed and you plan to use this Word, Excel, etc., this is a good option. If you can find these for relatively cheap. But be forewarned that finding one of these with Windows C 2.0 ROM, it's very, very difficult. I was really shocked I found one today. But I just want to give a shout out to HPC, HPCfactor.com. Thanks to everybody on there, and I'm hoping I will fix this when I can't do it through the screen, but I'm really hoping, let me move this for a second, I'm really hoping that I can take all this stuff, and I'm not kidding, all this stuff. I have 2 trays of this stuff, and I really want to get these units working, and they work. I just need the ribbon cables, but I have like all the screws, the parts, you name it. And it feels like a junkyard here, and I do not like doing this because I'm not that type of person. Nothing's worse than having a neighbor that has 12 cars and only one of them runs. You guys all know what I'm talking about. Their yard looks like a yeah, S hole. But let me put that over there. But that's about it with these units. I would say I would highly recommend these if you're just trying to keep it the basic, but I will say the keyboard, you're gonna have to get used to it. But these are very similar units. I would have to say I would highly recommend the Casio over the Compaq. And it's not just the keys, it's the screen. I think this is a better overall unit. But that's it. And I hope you guys are all well.